defensive purposes. The battle lines are getting hardened. Therefore, what we have done as of now, that firstly we have to be very clear, it has to be whole of nation approach. As far as the Army and Assam Rifle is concerned, we have deployed approximately 126 columns of Army and Assam Rifle combined together in conjunction with so many other stakeholders which are already operating in this state. And we are trying to calm down the situation. We are trying to bring in the trust. We are trying to restore the trust. It will take its own time, because when the social cracks or the social fracturing takes place, it takes own time to kind of recover. But what has also happened that we've been able to recover a large number of weapons. Approximately, if I can say that 25% of weapons have already been recovered, and double the weapon which are of local kind, that also been recovered. I've also gone and met the ex-servicemen, because they are the last bastion of national integration and social harmony. They are advising us how to go about it. We are working closely with them as well as the central administration to look into what are the possible lines of effort which we should go ahead in future.
Are there concerns about foreign assistance to certain militant groups from Myanmar?
If we retrace the history of Manipur, the issues are very, very complicated. We have to go back to the Kabao Valley and so on and so forth. We'll not talk about it. But what is important, we earlier had something called as Valley-Based Insurgent Groups, VBIGs. From where were they being supported? They were being supported from across. Now, similar kind of allegations is coming for the other groups. Out here, what we are looking at, that we should not allow wrong narratives to be built up. For example, there was a narrative of the bomb drones. We have gone on ground and checked up, there is no bomb drone. There was another wrong narrative which was said 900 anti-national elements have infiltrated. We checked up, there's nothing like that. So if we control that, I think things will be all right. Now what we're talking about, the external support. As far as the external support is concerned, Myanmar is having its own problem. When we are having their own problem, what happens? They also have some people who are getting displaced. When they're getting displaced, where will they go? They will only go to those places which are peaceful and ready to accept them. And that's what is happening in Mizoram and Manipur. So those people who are coming, they are coming unarmed, and they are coming for some kind of a shelter. And India, the country we are, we will make sure that they provide the shelter, food and support till the time we can.
Right. And very rightly said, I think every war is beyond a point an information war. Globally, we are seeing geopolitical alliances shifting, and there are changing equations as well. And increasingly it appears that the best strategy in a scenario like this is to be self-reliant, Atmanirbharta. The world is, accepting this as a winning strategy. India has been at it for a while, including self-reliance and defense, Make in India and defense. How do you see the progress on that front, on defense development, production, technological innovation? Are we meeting our goals?
So before that, we see why Atmanirbharta has become important. In the recent wars, what we have seen, that these wars are going to be long duration. Mass fire, mass application, and innovative ideas and on-ground adaptation. If you see all these three things, you will find that arms and ammunition has to be your own. Platforms have to be your own. Then only you can have the capability to provide the surge. That is the only time when you can modify a platform. And you can only fight with your own arms because you know that the sustenance is possible. And over a period of time, what we have seen that when you get it from the other places, the modification to platforms and other things are not possible because the IPR is not there with you, the technology is not there with you, the sustenance spare parts are not there with you. Now coming on to the Indian Army, as far as the Indian Army is concerned, has taken a pledge that more than 85% of whatever acquisition we are carrying out will be of Indian origin. That is point number one. Our theme is Swadeshi-karan se Sashakti-karan. If that is the theme, even in the positive indigenization list what we are talking about, 35%, that is out of the 509 item of 176 have been sponsored by Indian Army. The schemes of IDEX, Aditi, we are doing a great job in that also. Then Make 1 and Make 2, which has been now included in DAP 2020. This is basically to facilitate that the Indian industries get kind of motivated and they invest money. And here also we have been able to pitch in a lot of money. It comes to approximately 1.13 lakh crores is the money what we have invested. Then we also see, as the PSUs are concerned, they have got corporatized. Now what does it mean? That till the time they do not become Atmanirbhar within themselves, we need to carry out hand holding. And that's what we are doing, while ensuring that as far as the private industry is concerned, we should be able to provide them the healthy ecosystem and give them the commitment and assurance that we are there for you. Now this is as far as our actions are concerned. Now certain more things what we are doing is, the defense acquisition procedure which is there was made long back, and it was basically to look at whether the import items which are there, we are being fair and transparent in their acquisition or not. But now when we are talking about Atmanirbharta, I think we need to be more frank and open about it. So what we are doing, we have gone in for the emergency procurement, we are aware, EP4 which is there, 100% it has been indigenized procurement. We are also looking at accelerated procurement program, and this is my Deputy Chief CDNS is sitting here, he's working on that. And the best part is, the Defense Secretary in the complete setup with the Ministry of Defense is also in agreement that we need to look into it. So we're working towards that also. Third thing is technology. It's moving so fast that if you wait for a year, you will get only your children mobile. You will not be able to get a new mobile. So if that be the case, means, or what we earlier used to say Moore's law, we need to move fast. And therefore the standard acquisition procedure and technology acquisition need to decouple, and we're working towards that.
Let's also talk about the war in West Asia, which is clearly expanding. I was coming this morning and I got a news flash that they've begun a ground offensive in Lebanon. The Israelis have become. Where do you think this is heading? And my second question on the same subject is that we've seen some disturbing precedents being set in this conflict, including the use of everyday gadgets and turning pagers and walkie-talkies into bombs, and it makes people think everywhere in the world that we are all carrying some gadget or the other at all points, and we are all sitting ducks. So does India share this concern about these methods, and what are we doing to ensure that we are not at the receiving end of something like this?
So let me take your point number one, which you said that the ground offensive is ready to start. Israeli saying is mow the grass, so that for some time thereafter at least there is rest. It will come up again, we'll take care again. And that's what they have been doing. But this time they have done something different. And if you read the India Way, the book written by our External Affairs Minister, he talks about if you have got two sides, which side will you handle first? You have to take sides. And he talked about something that Abhimanyu was not required to go for Chakravyuh. It was meant for Yudhishthir or Arjuna, so that they could have taken on that. But that is the time Arjuna was challenged by somebody else and he went there. Had he decided to go into the Chakravyuh, he would have come out alive and Abhimanyu would have got saved. Similarly, in this case, Israel has decided very clearly that Hamas is primary focus which I must maintain. So what is done? He is completely firstly wiped out the Hamas opposition. Thereafter he said, okay, let me see on the other side. And if you see the page of what you're talking about, it's a Taiwan company being supplied to Hungarian company thereafter giving it to them. The shell company which has been created is something which is a master stroke by Israelis. And for that, it requires years and years of preparation. So it means they were prepared for it. And that is what it counts, that the war does not start the way you start fighting. It starts the day you start planning. And this is what is most important. So they had planned all these activities, and what they did, firstly they made sure that the pages get blasted off, people get injured, people die. Okay. Now what happens? Perforce now you have to shift to mobile. Moment you shift to mobile, what happens? Your signals are getting triangulated. They also went way ahead. They went for the sonic boom. What they did, they flew the aircraft in a manner that the sonic boom makes a sound in different timings. Once it makes a different timings, and Nasrullah was creating a live relay. When he was creating a live relay, they carried out a triangulation methodology to focus which building is he staying. Now that kind of a something which is never heard of earlier. This is the first time we are hearing this kind of a thing. Coming on to our side, yes, the same threat rights. So supply chain interruption, interception is something we have to be very watchful. So we have to have various levels of inspection on all these issues, whether it is the technological level as well as manual level also, to make sure such things do not get repeated in our case.
We've been talking about Viksit Bharat for 2047. The government has set very ambitious goals, and I understand security is going to be a key part of it. What is India's strategic vision for 2047 on defense and security?
Ms. Palki, firstly, when we talk about prosperous nation at the rate of 2047, I think two prefixes are very important: progressive and peaceful. And moment you add this, the net security provided happens to be the Indian Army. When I am saying all the three services all together, we become very important. So therefore, when we talk about the national security strategy, or we talk about the DIME, I think T has suddenly got added on itself, because that has become very important, what we saw recently. So first of all, as far as the national security apparatus is concerned, there we play a very important role, because as a security assurer, we need to have the capability of war fighting on both the fronts. And if we have the war fighting capability, then only it means that will act as a deterrence. As for the internal security is concerned, you are aware that what's happening on the western side, on the eastern side, and we are adequately poised to take care of that. Also in terms of HADR and other things, we are doing our job. Now what more is emerging is the grey zone. And after Doklam, what has happened, we realize that there is something grey zone which is existing. From self-denial, we move to now self-realization. Now is the time we have to work more on this, because it's not only the land, it is the so many domains which are working in that we need to take care of. So we need to harmonize in the grey zone also. Now this is as far as the national security apparatus is concerned. Atmanirbharta we have already discussed, I would not like to cover that. Then we also need to look into defense diplomacy. Now, defense diplomacy, we can play a very, very important role. Soft power we are, the way we are. Defense exports we can encourage in a big way. Then best practices of the host country. We exchange our training teams, we exchange our training teams and other exercises what we are carrying out, and we find that a lot of experience can be gained from each sides. Also, there are a lot many the military narratives which are required to be synergized in terms of so many if I can say, the regulations and resolutions which are passed in the UN, where we need to sit together. UN peacekeeping force. Now I'll give you the example of resolution number 1235, which talks about women empowerment. Now that is something we have recently had a great discussion with Japan. We are having with other countries also, and we are one of those countries where 5 female engagement teams have been deployed. So this is as far as the diplomacy is concerned. Now, as far as the nation building is concerned, I think there is no end to the list which I can start on and on: environment conservation, women empowerment, infrastructure development, and sports, national integration. So there are a lot many things which we are doing in nation building. I'll just to give it a small kind of a summing up point on this issue is, when I carried out a discussion on Ladakh itself, we realized the army brings on the platter more money than the tourists bring on the platter for Ladakh. So wherever we are deployed, the local economy gets a big boost. If the J&K today is sustaining itself on its own, the military plays a very, very pivotal role in that.
It's a very interesting point and not covered enough in the media. Theaterization is being called a key part of the 2047 roadmap, and there are concerns around it. Some experts say that the army will have more control because of the sheer size and presence. How do you address those concerns, and do you think India is ready for something like this?
Yeah, I can see more Greens here, but I don't think the control will be with them. Yeah, I find others also here. So as far as theaterization is concerned, I don't know how much I can speak in open. But just to tell you, as far as this issue is concerned, General Rawat, our first CDS, laid a great foundation for that. And when General Anil Chauhan took over, he made sure that we will only go to the media or we'll tell others once we have been able to achieve a consensus. And we went in a big way. We had all Commander-in-Chiefs conferences. We discussed a lot of issues, sorted out a lot of issues. And today we have a great consensus among the 3 chiefs and the CDS that we have been able to devise a complete structure, planning everything. And now at this stage, as CDS will also confirm that we are ready to present it to our decision makers that this is how we want to go about it. Now that requires what? It requires jointness and integration. So jointness 1.0, this is what we were looking at. Wherever the small structures or the kind of organizations can be joined together, for example, courses of instructions we have the joint logistic nodes what we have. Then we went in for jointness 2.0. Jointness 2.0 talks about culture, thinking, symbology, all these things. So there also we have made a great progress. Now I'm sure by jointness 3.0 would also be coming. In this approximately 200 fields which we identified that we can look at jointness. And nearly 30% of that we have already achieved that jointness. Others we are working. And initially hiccups were there, the pace was slow, but now the pace is going to be very, very fast. Now the second question which you said, as far as the army is going to get major share of it or not. As far as the population is concerned, I must say the difference between the Air Force and Army, if I can put that. Air Force USP is the technology and Army's USP is the human resource. Air Force strength is centralization and Army's strength is decentralization at every stage, command, corps, division and all that. Army follows a system of complex adaptive system. Others may follow a system of complex linear system. So there is a difference of opinion. But what is important is Army and land forces. What is bigger? Land forces, because everybody in the TVA comes into play. Then what is bigger than the land forces is the multi-domain. When we talk about the cyber, EW, space, cognitive, all these things. Now who's going to control all that? Will be one man or multiple teams? So if you have a Senate sitting together and deciding on that, I think the time will be past. So therefore you need one man to decide on that. Therefore theatre commander is important. Can be from the Air Force, can be from the Army, can be from the Navy.
You make it sound easy. The government is also considering tweaks to the Agnipath scheme, and there are some reports that they will increase the retention rate. It may be a decision that is politically motivated, but whatever the reasons, and it is going to impact the force that you lead. What is your take on the recruitment debate?
So, Palke, I'll start from you only. Women empowerment. When we talk about it, when the women came into the army, we didn't know how to handle it. It was difficult. We had some plans, but what came on the platter was entirely different. Then we evolved over a period of time. Then we further built up on that. The courts also came in between. They also helped us to kind of converge on the correct path. Similarly, as far as the Agniveer is concerned, as of today, approximately by December 24, we'll be having 1 lakh population which will be in the Indian Army. What is the ground feedback? The ground feedback is excellent. When I talk to the COs and commanders, they're very happy with it. Because these people are enthused, ready to learn. They have the urge to showcase also what they have learned. And there was some fear they will compete with each other. Even I had that kind of fear. But when I go on ground, I recently visited my unit in Nyoma. And I realized, no, they're very happy. There is a great degree of cooperation among themselves. They're not competing with each other. So what it means that the youth profile which is required with our Northern Front rebalancing what we have done, the youth profile is definitely required. That is one. Second issue is that what are we doing about it? The aim is that the training which we were giving it for a longer period has to be given for a shorter period. And the youth which we are selecting is definitely better, because what we are doing now, we are firstly carrying out a written examination and thereafter we are going for the physical. So as far as his mental and physical synergy or the harmonization is concerned, is definitely better. When we talk about what will happen in future, it's an evolutionary process. For example, one thing we all agree that when we want ITI qualified personnel, then we need to increase the age. So that is already on the plate of what we are discussing. As far as the other issues are concerned, internal discussion keeps taking place. So when something comes on that, I'm sure I'll give you a call and inform you.
I look forward to that. And on the point of women empowerment, I think next year when we meet for Chanakya Dialogue, there'll be probably more women in the hall as well. I'm very encouraged by your responses, and thank you for your frankness, General Dwivedi. Thank you very much. Sure. Oh, from me or from the audience? From me, of course. We talked about technological advancement. AI is something that a lot of countries are talking about, and recently some 60 countries gathered in South Korea to sign an agreement on using AI in military. It's the future, we all understand, but we don't quite, I mean, it's still the Wild West. Do you think that we have enough understanding and enough guardrails to deal with something like this?
So whenever you are carrying out a evolution, if I can say that, you will be having the infirmities and kind of insecurities will be there. But it does not stop you from improving yourself. So to begin with technology, if you're talking about, we have 16 technology clusters what we are having, where we have the principal staff officers responsible for it. That is point number one. Coming on to the artificial intelligence, what we